It's a well-known fact that radiation can cause sickness, mutations, and even death in living things. So it shocked me to learn that radiation is making its way into our food. You may not even know when you're about to eat or purchase something that's been irradiated. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's article, Irradiation of Food, dated November 19th of 2009, foods that have been irradiated can be exposed to levels of radiation that equal 450 million worth of chest x-rays. Irradiated foods are marching into our grocery stores with only strong consumer opposition to keep them at bay, and a myriad of consequences to face if that fails. So what is irradiation, and what are the effects of irradiation, and how can you make your voice heard? I had never even heard of irradiated foods until this semester when I had my medical microbiology book out and had looked through and found a picture of what was actually the Madura symbol, which symbolizes foods that have been irradiated. And it had two pictures side by side of one of my favorite fruits, strawberries. And those pictures had one that was natural strawberries, and they'd gone through the decomposition process, so they were rotten. They looked pretty disgusting. They were kind of a grayish black color and had a bunch of mold on them. It looked pretty gross. The one next to that has a picture of irradiated strawberries, and they were said to be the same age as the natural strawberries, but these looked like they had just been freshly picked. So my interest was sparked, and I wanted to learn more about what irradiation really was. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's article, Food Irradiation, What You Need to Know, dated November 11, 2014, the process of food irradiation involves ionizing radiation that's applied to food with one of three types of radiation, the more common of which is the gamma ray. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's article, History of Food Radiation, dated June 27, 2012, cites that the process began in 1963, which is when the FDA was approving the process of irradiating wheat and flour to prevent insects. Since that point, the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the FDA have approved increasing levels of radiation to go towards foods. And it's for many reasons, including killing parasites, preventing the aging process in produce so that the produce stays on the shelf much longer. And it also kills, it also disinfects the produce and other items that are irradiated and prevents the growth process, so you don't have sprouts on your potatoes anymore. With many big name organizations backing the process, you should know that there are several organizations that oppose it as well, which include the EPA, the Organic Consumers Association, or OCA, and the Center for Food Safety. When food is irradiated, the parasites and insects are killed, but the gamma rays actually alter the molecular structure of the food, and it causes free radicals to form. And those actually help kill the vitamins and nutrients that are in the foods naturally. When they combine, the free radicals combine with new molecules, according to the OCA's article, Tell the FDA Don't Irradiate My Veggies, they can combine with pesticides that are present in the produce, and it forms new chemicals that weren't previously found in the foods. One of those including benzene. The American Cancer Society's article dated December 9, 2013, called Benzene, states that benzene is a known carcinogen, and another chemical that can be formed is formaldehyde, which many of us know is involved in the embalming process. Though the FDA and CDC state that none or minimal changes in the irradiated foods occur, there are actually many. In Dr. Joseph Mercola's 2015 article called Food Irradiation Q&As, dated 2015, cites that some of those include mutated bacteria that's radiation resistant, such as new strains of E. coli. It also kills off several of the vitamins and nutrients, so it kind of makes it pointless to even eat the food at some points. And it changes the flavor, and the texture turns rather mushy, so it's pretty gross. It also kills many good microorganisms that are present in the food naturally. So we would expect that an organization such as the FDA must have run several tests and case studies to determine that this food was safe, right? Well, they ran 441 case studies, but before you breathe a sigh of relief, you should know that Dr. Mercola's 2015 article titled Nuclear Lunch, The Dangers and Unknowns of Food Irradiation references that one of the FDA's own doctors stated that all 441 cases were flawed. The FDA actually admitted that it only used 5 of those cases, and subsequently other researchers did tests on those 5 cases to determine how they were repeated and whether they were holding up, against science. And they found that those 5 cases even were flawed. So that left us with none to rely on for any safety reassurance. So being informed is half the battle. You should research for yourself before you decide what foods you're going to put into your body. There are several ways that we can speak out against this rising food crisis. It's vital that you voice your opinion and make conscious choices when you purchase foods in the grocery store. You can look for and make yourself familiar with the Radura symbol, and don't purchase any of the foods that you know have been irradiated. You can also buy certified organic foods or purchase food from local farmers or farmers markets whenever it's available to you. Your dollar speaks for you and will show your support or opposition of the irradiated foods. Stores won't stock what doesn't sell, so you will be making a difference. And your voice matters too. You can speak with your state representatives or the school board officials and ask that they don't stock foods in cafeterias that have been irradiated, and ask your grocery stores not to carry those foods. If we don't act now, it may be too late by the time we realize what consequences have resulted, and we may be left with some devastating health effects as side effects from the irradiated foods. And consider this, if the produce lasts only twice as long, we're putting farmers out of their business slowly. We're creating new superbugs, and we're inhibiting the process of trying to find ways of handling and packaging foods, because why bother if you can just nuke the bacteria out of it? What seemed like a good idea at the time of irradiating foods is not supported by the research, and the practice should cease immediately before more damage can result. And we have the power right now to stop the produce from coming into our home. Rather than being forced into the consequences of irradiated food consumption, we must speak out with our voices and our pocketbooks to help shape our future and determine what ends up on our grocery store shelves. Science can be a wonderful thing in terms of medicine and inventions, but nuclear waste doesn't belong at the dinner table. Protect yourself and your loved ones, and don't serve them a nuclear science experiment for dinner.